Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today's card is one that just went live on my blog post, and it's a card for the casually crafting group that I belong to, where demonstrators from across the world get together once a month and we each create a card with a theme. This month's theme was a tic-tac-toe one, and I chose the row which was hello, ribbon and white. I've got white on the outside, white for my sentiment and white on the inside. But you could make whatever you wanted. Now, the idea for the group is that casual crafters don't always have lots of things that they can use, like die cuts or embossing folders. So we try to make a card that the majority of people could make from things they've got at home in their stock. This was my card, and I'm going to show you two ways that you could step it up as well. So if you have access to other things like an embossing folder or a die cut machine, you could make this just a little bit different. So I'll put this on one side, but so that you can still see it. I'll pop it up there. Let me just check that you can see that. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to make exactly the same card, just with a little couple of variations. So my first one that I'm going to make is exactly the same layout. I've got exactly the same colours. So I've got the soft succulent. This is my cardstock. I'm just going to burnish it just to make the card fold flatter and lay flatter. If you don't have a bone folder, you can always just use a stamp block as well and go over with a stamp block. And so I'm going to make the centerpiece, and this is a piece of basic white and 3 pieces of designer series paper. Now, if you go and check my blog, you can see all the sizings, so you don't need to worry about writing everything down right now. So my designer series paper, I've just got 3 pieces, and it's from the Pansy Petals paper. I've got lots and lots of this. It's really pretty. You could choose any colours for your background that you wanted. I just wanted the soft succulent colour, but it really is pretty paper. And you might have seen me craft with it already. And some of the petals or the pansies I'd cut out to use on other cards. It's a really easy way to make a flower, because these pieces, there are dies that go with it, so you can cut them out with a die, but it's also easy to fussy cut with a pair of scissors. So I'll pop that on one side. I've chosen the same 3 colour pieces that I had on my original card, and I'm only going to attach those onto the little piece of white. See, this is the piece that goes in the middle here. And I'm going to put it on exactly the same way. Oh, come out, glue. There we go. And I always start at the left, and I'm making it so that it looks like the same border, top, bottom, and at the left. And then I'll turn it round and put the piece at the other side, and that makes it easier just to pop the remaining piece in the middle. And you don't have to worry about whether you've left enough space or anything. Just makes it a bit easier. Okay, so we've got that centerpiece, and this will fit in just perfectly. But if you'd put this on first and you'd gone over a little bit, and then you've got a bigger space, it's just easier to do this piece last. Okay, so there's our 3 little pieces already. Now you can see on this one, I attached the white straight onto the cardstock. But this time I'm going to use a piece of Evening Evergreen, which is this green in here and on the background, just as a contrast. And it will make those colours pop just a little bit more. It's only a tiny border. You don't need much of a border. Okay, and then I'm going to put that right in the middle again. So this shows you as well how I made the original card. Oops. Okay, just pop it into the middle. I've got my piece of basic white for the inside, And I'm going to add just a little 1/2 inch strip of the Designer Series paper to the bottom of it, just to give you a little bit of interest on the inside. I'm going to leave a tiny little gap at the bottom. Oh, let me move that up so you can see. I'm just leaving a tiny little gap, and then we'll attach that to the inside. Just check that it's the right way round. Pop this on here. Okay. So you can see already how that extra little layer really makes the front piece just pop. Okay. I'm using the Biggest Wish for the hello. And I have lots of die cuts, or I always keep a lot already done. For the original card, I used the little postage stamp punch. But for this one, I've got a piece of scrap, and I've actually got some die cuts already made, just from other cards. I think I'm just going to use this little tag here. I think that will be just perfect. And I'm going to do my ribbon just slightly differently. So I've got my Evening Evergreen stamp, ink to stamp with, and I've already got the hello sentiment on here. And I'm just going to pop it sort of in the middle. Okay. And let's bring that back in. Oops. So I'm just going to put this across here, and I'm going to attach it with dimensionals because I want it to be raised off slightly. And I'm going to put another little ribbon on. Oh, and I just can't see where I've put it. I had my little ribbons already pre-cut. Excuse me 1 second. Here we go. I just moved them over. And I have a little bow made out of the sheer ribbon in the soft succulent. And I'm only going to pop that on there like that. So now that that's dry, let's put a couple of little dimensionals on. I'm just going to put 3 on. And I'm not doing anything, really fancy. It's just that this is die cut with the tailored tag dies. And I'm going to put it across the whole of the front. I'm going to get a little glue dot to pop my ribbon on. And it's about 5 inches of ribbon that I used. Let's pop that over there. Okay. And then last of all, we're going to get those little burnished butterflies, and I'm going to put the same little butterfly up at the top. I think these little brass ones are so pretty. Okay, so it still fits the same 3 things, the hello, the ribbon and the white, but I've used a die cut just to make the hello. Let's move that off there. Okay, and so for the third one, I've pretty much made it the same as the first one. I've just made a different layer. So I've got my same soft succulent base and my same insert. Oops. So I've got my basic white and a little strip of the paper. You could use any of the designs you want. These are just actually some pieces I had left and I was using for herringbone cards one day, and I just had a few left over. So they're just a perfect size. You could also put a piece on your envelope, or you could stamp one of the pansies on there, or you could cut out one of the pansies from the Designer Series paper. Oops, I nearly put that on the front. It wants to go inside. There we go. Okay, and then instead of doing the little pop of colour here, what I did was I took a piece of the soft succulent, just 1/4 inch smaller all the way around, and I put it through my stamp cut and emboss machine, and I used this Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder, and it's I don't know if the camera picks that up really well. It's just like a random pattern, but quite subtle. If you have like a flower embossing folder, that would look really nice on there. I like tone on tone, so sometimes if I'm doing a card, I'll do a white layer and emboss that, or just helps it to, you know, just to pop off the page a little bit and gives you that little bit of texture. You see how already that gives you texture all the way around and just a different look. But the rest of the pieces, I'm doing exactly the same. I've got my 3 little pieces here. Same 1.5 by 3 inch pieces of designer series paper. Put this on here. I'm going to put that one down because I don't want too much pink. So I'm going to put that as the yellow. Oh, just a minute. I like to do the other end first. So I'm going to glue this one just so that I know I've got it level. Okay. And because it's this liquid glue, I've got a minute or two for it to still be able to be moved. It's still liquid. There we go. And this one, I'm actually going to pop this up on dimensionals just to give it even more height. I'm actually putting a few on. I don't like it when the front pieces sort of sag. So I'm just putting the extra little pieces on. Take all those off. Pop it right in the middle. And can you see how just that textured piece gives you such a different look? Okay, now let's find another little die cut. I think I've got one here in my box. I've got a different one. Okay, and I'm going to use the same frayed ribbon just so that I can show you how I did the ribbon. Let me check, that's going to be, yep, that's going to be wide enough on there. So I'll stamp my hello on there. And you don't have to use the butterflies for this. You could use 3 little gems on it as well. Maybe I'll use gems on this one just to show you. If you wanted, you could use a ribbon. Let's move that along. This is my ribbon where the top fell off. It was stuck under my desk and I pulled the ribbon one day and pulled the top off. Okay, so you could just use a little piece of ribbon like this, cut here. Let's show you what I mean. And then you could attach that just with the ribbon like this. That looks really pretty too. But I just want to show you how I made this. You don't need very much of this ribbon, only about 3 inches. So only about this much. And it's called frayed ribbon. And it sort of looks frayed already at the edges, but I like it when you can just pull the edge off. One edge comes off really easily. The other one, I find it taffles up a little bit for me. I think because I don't have enough patience to wait for it. Okay, so let's take a bit more off because I do want a bit more than that. See where the edge is. Okay, come on ribbon. I think that's because I was pulling it really hard. It didn't want to come out. There we go. And I'm just going to move it round a little bit. I might even fray a bit more than that. Now I promise you the other end frays much easier. Okay. Now let's make that straight again. I don't want it too bunched up. There we go. Now this end, look, it undoes much, much easier. Just goes backwards and forwards. And I think it's just because of the way it's wound or made at the factory. You always got one edge that undoes much better than the other. Now these little pieces I save and I'll make bows with them. I'll put maybe 2 or 3 strands together, and then you can see if you make a bow with it, it's really pretty. It's like a fluffy twine. So don't throw these pieces out, keep those. Let me see how much more I need to undo. Oh, that'll be about right, I think. Okay. I'm just going to fray it round a little bit, and I'm putting a little piece of tear and tape on here. So just to hold the ribbon down. You don't need very much, but an inch and a half. And take the backing off. Throw that one away. And we're going to have this to go, so it's just over. It just goes over onto the floral piece. I want to still be able to see the floral piece, so I don't want to put it, you know, too far over, because I like those little pansies. And I'm just going to put some more dimensionals on. If you're mailing this, you might just want to check how tall it is. Sometimes if I put 2 sets of dimensionals and maybe another embellishment, it will be too wide to go through our little postal slot, and then I just have to pay extra to post it. So if I know it, I'm going to post it, I don't always put the extra ones on. Okay, let's sprinkle this out a bit. There we go. Okay, and then instead of putting the little butterflies on, let's find an embellishment. What about these in colours? Because the card and everything is from the 2021 to 2023 in colours, and I think I'm going to use the like the paler soft succulent. So you can just pop. I'm just going to pop 3 on. I've got 2 small ones left. So I'll do the small over here, and I'm going to do the larger one in this corner here. Just turn it round. There we go. Okay, so you can see, I'm just going to move that around a little bit. I like it when the frayed part sort of goes round your sentiment, round your label a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so here's my original, where if you don't have any cut and emboss machine to do embossing or die cutting, this is an easy way to do it. If you don't even have a punch, you could just cut a rectangle of card for this piece as well. Makes it easy. And then you can use it and have just the little border. And here we've got a die cut. And then again, this one, let me see if I can get all 3 in the picture. Yeah, just. So on this one, it's embossed and we've got a die cut. And instead of using the little brass butterflies, I use the in colour gems. It's a really easy card and one that you can dress up as much as you want. So I hope you enjoyed that. Check on my blog, because this card will be on there today and it will have all the sizings and everything. So you don't need to worry about writing things down. I always put them on my blog too. So take care everybody and have a wonderful week. Bye.